Hi Year 9, I hope you're all well. This is one of the last weeks that we have of school. We've obviously got 2 weeks left. Next week will be a test to see what you've learnt over the last 3 weeks, and this is the third week of the work that I'm setting for that test. This is a chance for you to start looking at all your research. You've done tons if you've stuck to everything that I've been setting. It's using that research to produce a list of requirements for your specification, and it's then to use that to design creatively. So that's what you're going to be focusing on this week. So by the end of this week, you will hopefully all have analysed your research findings and used it to create a design brief. You will also then produce a detailed list of requirements, which is called a design specification, and hopefully use that then to help you design your sportswear. So we're now at the stage of hopefully designing and having finished all our research. You've done an awful lot of research over the last couple of months, so now we're trying to make good use of that. All of you, so grade 2, 3, 4, you should better pick out 3 useful bits of research findings. Most of you will hopefully find 5 aspects of your research that are useful, and some of you will be able to come up with at least six key points and be able to give reasons as to why you will use that when you're designing. This is how in your NEA next year, next June, you would be assessed for writing a design brief and a specification. So really just from one page of work in your coursework, the major coursework, you could actually get up to 10 marks out of 100, which is a really, a big chunk to gain. If we take the middle grade there, grade 4 to 5, you will produce an adequate design brief with some thought of your client's needs. Remember, your sportswear should be for teenagers. It should be for someone that you've hopefully interviewed in a questionnaire or a survey. You should be able to sort of link it back to what your context is. So it's obviously to do with your context that I've set you all is the sportswear. You should be able to produce a design specification, and obviously the more details you can see there, the higher the grade it would get. Showing some awareness of what the client wants and needs is a big part of getting a high mark, and also using it to guide your iterations, which is another word for design ideas. So from some previous coursework sent out by the exam board, I've copied and pasted here an example of an analysis of research and design brief. Okay, so this is the first bit, the analysis of research. You can see down the left-hand side here of the table, you've got the type of research that the student carried out. Quite similar to what we have done. This particular project isn't obviously to do with sportswear, it's to do with developing countries, but you can see here what the type of research was, what the key findings are, where you've got the bullet points, and then the student has said where they've got that information from. So it's like a bibliography. Shows they haven't just copied it and pretended it's their own work. So to help you, you could pause this video now and copy this out, draw it neatly with a ruler, and then add your own results. Or you could copy and paste this if you're doing this electronically. But basically, you need to pick out now what you found out in your research. Don't say what you did. If you did a survey asking someone some questions, which I know a lot of you did because you kindly emailed them to me, then you don't tell me what you did, you tell me what it taught you. So all those graphs that you guys hopefully produced are where you get that information from for the client survey. Having completed your mood board, getting images to do with sportswear, maybe a designer that you chose to research, those kinds of things. What's useful? Is there a particular colour that you like? Is there a particular pattern? Is there a particular style or sportswear product? Do you want to make a jacket? Do you want to make a top? Do you want to make some joggers? What is it that your mood board has hopefully helped to give you as inspiration? Product analysis, you will set that. So, what has that taught you? What do you know needs to be done? Is sportswear sewn with, a lot of zigzag stitch so that it doesn't break? When you looked at the sportswear, hopefully you found out some useful information. And obviously we've covered the other two. You've hopefully done your fashion designer research. I know the ones of you that have sent me the findings, it's really, really good. Maybe some colour or style is useful there. And obviously as a class, I have set you the technical and smart materials research. So is there something in there that's particularly good for sportswear to allow, you know, the person to move, but also to have a breathable item of clothing that they're not going to sweat too much in. So this is something that you then create using that research information. This is called a design brief. You were set these last year, you know, to design and make a bag for a client, to design and make a gadget case for whoever, you know, a client. And in this case, you basically can copy and then add your own information and findings. Again, if you're doing this electronically, copy and paste it. So who have you been asked to, you know, who is this design going to be for? So mention your client. What does the sportswear need to be? There should be a whole list of things in your head or on paper that you have found out people want the sportswear to be. So for instance, it needs to be well made because you want it to be strong and long lasting. What will you need to do about the sportswear? You know, does it need to be breathable? Does it need to be something that people can move in easily? Does it need to be comfortable? Does it need to be made from a material that allows people to have, you know, sweat, not just clinging to their skin? So all of this hopefully is self-explanatory. Please email me if you are not sure. I'm happy to help you out there. So again, from a previous project from the exam board, this is a very, very detailed design specification. So now that you've got your research analysis and your design brief, you're going to complete what's needed in any project, which is a design specification. So you can see all kinds of headings down the left-hand side there. This is more detailed than you will have done before. Hence, it's for the NEA that's worth half the grade. So it should have got the student a good mark, which I think it did. Okay, so this one is done for clothing. There might be key things here like the size or the theme that you want to mention in yours. Okay, but you can just see here how it's been laid out. Lots of clear paragraphs, not just one massive chunk of writing. We've got a bit of colour for each of the subheadings, which helps to break up all the text. So, and you know, everything's sort of been well justified and well explained. So reasons have been given. This is what I would expect from those of you aiming for a sort of 7, 8 or 9 grade. And use this to help you write yours, please. Okay, so I've given you subheadings on the left in bold, and then in brackets, basically what those words mean. So if you haven't understood it before, the word aesthetics is all about appearance. Are they going to be shiny? Are they going to be bold, bright colours? Are you looking to have some sort of glow in the dark or some neon or some reflective fabric or effect? You know, is it going to be smooth and silky? Is it going to be fluffy? Is it going to be fleecy? The aesthetics covers the sort of texture as much as it does the appearance. Cost, what would you hope to sell it for your client? If your client is a teenager, they're not going to have masses of spare money if they're not working, so you need to maybe mention a budget. Customer, who is it for? What are their needs? The environment is thinking about how could you make this sportswear more environmentally friendly. So designing something to last a long time so that it can then be reused, you know, taken to a charity shop and resold is a really good thing because it means the product's not being thrown away onto landfill straight away. What's the size? Who's your client? You know, are they a size 10 or a size 12? Try and give some dimensions. Safety. What's going to be important? You don't want something so long in the leg that when someone is running that they're more likely to trip up. So you need to think about common sense, but you know, go into some detail about the safety that's going to be needed for your item of sportswear. What's going to be the function? Is it for a particular sport? Remember, sportswear isn't just worn for sports. Sometimes it's worn just for comfort, or sometimes it's worn for fashion, and people don't do any sport at all in it. So try and think about what the function is going to be. If it's for basketball, you don't want shorts, for instance, that are going to fall down as you run around. So you need to maybe think about a suitable waistband, a belt, elastic, those kinds of things. Try and really put down in here, in your specification, the obvious things that you think, oh, Miss must know this. You know, the more you put in, then the higher the grade you're going to be getting. And then lastly, what materials would you want to use? We have looked at a lot to do with smart materials, modern materials, technical textiles. There's been all kinds that hopefully you can dip into now and make use of. So if you like the idea of Gore-Tex, which is incredibly waterproof, but at the same time allows you to sweat and not, not have that sweat clinging to you. So it's great for making something breathable. Then talk about using Gore-Tex. Go back through the old lessons and hopefully your notes, and you should find some suitable materials that work well for you. Okay, and I've just basically written this out for you in case you want to copy and complete it without, an interpretation of what the words mean. But these are the headings I'd like to see you use, and then you add your own paragraphs, please. So moving on again, now we're on to the designing section. This is the third section of the project. You've done your research, you've done your brief and your specifications, so now the third section, section C, is designing. This is the fun part. And you can see there, again, for the NEA that you will produce next year, how you would be graded for designing. This section is 1/5 of the whole marks. So it's a big chunk of marks. If we were doing this for real, in school, for your NEA, you'd be doing this across a few weeks. But really, we haven't got very long left. As you know, we've only got 2 weeks till the summer holidays. So the more you can get done in this week, the better. But I'm not looking for you to get everything on this list of 1 to 6 down the left-hand side, okay? So you're going to hopefully generate imaginative ideas, okay? So you're not going to do what we call design fixation. Design fixation is where you only focus on one idea or maybe 2 ideas, but they're very similar. Even if you think there's no way I'm going to make this, I don't like this idea, draw it anyway, okay? Because the more you can show a range of ideas, particularly if they're imaginative, where you're not just copying something off the internet or that you have at home, the higher the grade you will get. You need to show that you are thinking about how it's going to function. So what kind of fastenings are going to work? Again, the length of the sleeves, the length of the trouser or shorts, waistbands. Is it going to be a mix of materials? Is it designed for people to go running in at night time? Therefore, they will need reflective strips on them, that grey modern material that allows, car lights to shine back. Is it going to be glow in the dark? Is it going to have built-in electronics so that lights allow the sports person to be seen? You need to use your research that you've just analysed and be creative, really think about different things. Could it be accessorised? If it's a jacket, could it have a cap or something, that can be worn on the head to go with it? Think about a whole range of doing this, okay? You can use computers. You might find that there's an app that allows you to do some fashion design. Otherwise, just good old paper. It can be lined paper if you've got no plain paper at home, because obviously we're in lockdown. Well, you're in lockdown out of school. There's all kinds of difficulties along the way. So you just do what you can do, but be creative, use this information. And some of this will be in the test that I set you next Monday, okay, to do with designing and research and specifications. And just to hopefully give you an idea of what sort of things you could do with regards to the layout, this is again some exemplar work from a design project that the exam board have sent. This student did get high marks, and it links in with the specification and the research analysis that I've already put into this PowerPoint, but you can see there there's some really good annotation around some nice creative sketches. The use of colour is a great thing. If you don't have colours at home, don't worry, just label the ideas. But if you do have some form of colour, please apply it. It really does make the ideas more eye-catching. Okay, so do have a look at how this student has used their annotation and colours and design, and then apply that to your own, please. So having analysed all your research, written out your design brief, and then hopefully produced, a fairly detailed design specification, it's now time to start designing. Please remember what you need for a high grade, so creativity, not just limiting yourself with one idea. If you look here in this list for the plenary, hopefully everyone can come up with at least 3 ideas, okay? 10 if you're aiming for the grade 7, 8 and 9, because that shows a really wide variety of iterations and ideas, and hopefully some originality. Play around with necklines, play around with whether you have something that's detachable. If you're doing a jacket, you could have one minute it could be like a vest, and then on colder days you can attach sleeves with Velcro or zips. Could you have things that, it all depends on what this is designed for. So if it is just for leisure, it's all about comfort, making sure that things have good stretch. If it is for a particular sport, make sure you're really thinking about the needs of that person who does the sport, particularly if it's a sport that you know well. Thank you and good luck.